We're live everywhere. It's Sean from Toronto Police Traffic Services. Welcome, welcome. Always happy to be back in the studio. Day two of my return from vacation. So this is pretty cool. I think I'm back to normal. I got up before my alarm today. It was weird. But we're here. We're here and we're happy. So what's going on with you guys? Let me know. We've got people jumping in on Instagram. We're back on Instagram. We are on TikTok. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn Live. We are everywhere that we need to be. So I'm looking at I'm pointing at the camera. That's the TikTok camera, that's the Instagram camera, and that's the everybody else camera. So we're moving and grooving. Just looking into the chat as it comes. Oh, yeah. Okay, good. Q just let me know that it sounds good. I want to make sure that I'm not too quiet on Instagram. I've got the volume really low because I don't want to blow you guys' ears. So if it's too quiet, let me know. I can always pump it up a little bit. Oh, I forgot to reverse my stuff so people on TikTok actually can read Toronto Police behind my head. Cool. Just to let you know how it goes and who I am and what the story is. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. What do I do? Well, I'm a traffic cop. I'm a cop, but I'm a cop that works at traffic services. And what does that really mean? It means I'm a specialist in the traffic safety realm. I used to investigate collisions on the road. I enforce the Highway Traffic Act, as do police officers across the service and the province for that matter. But my specialty is traffic. And what do? I work specifically in the Traffic Safety Programs Office, and I work as not only a media relations officer, but I also work on safety programs. What are those things? Well, we talk about things that make the roads safer, and we help to educate, and this is part of that education. So I come online, I answer your questions, and how do you get those questions answered? Well, it's a great question. Thanks for asking it. you drop in the Q&A section. Doesn't matter if you are on TikTok or Instagram. There's a Q&A section. That helps make sure that I see the question, and I can throw it on screen, and others can see it too. If you're on and watching us on YouTube or any of the other platforms, that can be done through the chat function, and everyone will be involved with that. So there you go. I generally don't have the ability to follow the chat. It just moves too quickly, and I don't want to miss you. So if you have the ability to use the Q&A, do that. Now, there are moderators. We have magical moderators. They're volunteers, not police officers. They go into the chat. They monitor it. They interact with you. They help keep it classy and mute the people who are being disruptive, but they also help convey messages to me. So if there's something that needs to be shared, a message that needs to be answered, and you can't for some reason put it in the Q&A, they're going to help you do it. Never Sometimes says, love you little updates. Finally renewed my license plate stickers because of your updates. LMAO. Awesome. So glad that worked for you. I say I don't read the chat, and then I'm in here reading the chat. Kenny said, I failed my G1 10 times. Any tips? Read the book, because there's 20 questions about rules of the road and 20 street signs. So it shouldn't be very difficult. I understand that it can be daunting for someone who's never covered that information, but if you read it and read it and read it again and have someone test you, there's also a bunch of practice tests apparently you can find. So have a look at that. Safe wants to send gifts. We can't let you send gifts. We've asked TikTok to disable that feature for our account because we're the police and we can't accept gifts. But I appreciate the sentiment, the wanting to send us. They're very much appreciated. Give it to a charity. We actually have been trying to get Special Olympics Ontario on board to be one of the registered charities on TikTok so that they could receive gifts, and then we could support them and you'd be able to send gifts to them. But they haven't been able to figure something out and get on board for whatever reason. So let's jump into here. I'm going to scan through. No, it looks like I've come to the end of chat. I'm going to jump into the Q&A where questions are waiting. Hello from Melbourne. Welcome. I love Melbourne. I spent like 3 weeks there a number of years ago because I have family in Melbourne. And I went all over Australia. I love Australia. And I'm not going to teach everyone else. Well, okay. Does anyone know what they call chewing gum in Australia? Well, it's not chewing gum, it's chewy. At least that's the reference. It's always chewy. My cousin was all about, do you want some chewy? I'm like, okay. It's very matter of fact. But thanks so much for dropping in and saying hello. If anybody else is international or from, actually just let us know in the chat where you're from. Also, if you don't mind, double tap the screen, show people on TikTok that you like us by sending our whole business here our live likes. The more likes, it helps TikTok and, for that matter, Instagram advertise to the rest of the platform. Okay, moving on. Let's see here. What happens if you fail a G test with the extension? Well, if you fail a G test with the extension, you're still covered by the extension until the end of the extension. Beyond that, the extension would end, and you would be in a situation where you would no longer be covered, and you may have to either retest for your G2 or there may be extensions beyond that if you apply for them, but you need to talk to the MTO about that. As far as I know, if you expire by the end of your term, you have to retest for your G2 to extend beyond that. And then, of course, you have to pay again. Okay. Do speeding cameras catch you going 5 kilometers over? They record you, and whether or not they issue a ticket is up to the city and their settings. We actually don't know what those are. Plausible deniability. I actually don't know what they have them set to, which is kind of good because people would continuously ask me. But I have heard of tickets that are quite low over the speed limit, so I would suggest simply not speeding is the best way to avoid being charged. What is this? People in Toronto honk as soon as the lights go green. Everyone's in a hurry, apparently. That's one of the issues and why people speed and do all sorts of things. You know what? If you're not paying attention, if you don't proceed at green, it's actually a charge. Now, obviously, it's not a split second turns green. You shouldn't be on the gas. You still have to make sure it's safe to proceed before beginning to move. But very impatient drivers everywhere. But we might have more than the average in Toronto. Just saying. Okay. What is this? Can we get more signs up about driving in the passing lane? Apparently, those signs were taken down a long time ago, and they're great signs because if you disobey those, we can issue you a ticket about them. It's not about unnecessary slow driving. It's about not passing. If you're not actively passing, you shouldn't be in the passing lane. And it is a passing lane, not a high-speed or fast lane, which really confuses people. Okay, can I drive without a license at 14? Well, that's obviously a no, because you must have a license to drive, and you can't get a license in Ontario unless you're 16. So, no. Now, if you're off-road or if you're on private property, the rules about having a driver's license don't apply on that private property. We can't charge you for driving without a license there, but it's not necessarily a good idea, and you're not covered under insurance as an unlicensed driver. Big Jeff Fresh just jumped into YouTube. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Okay, we got lots of stuff going on, lots of screens, lots of cameras. Okay. What is this? On a one-way road, people tailgate on going the speed limit. Okay. People can tailgate. It's against the law for them to tailgate, and it's against the law to speed. So if you're doing the speed limit and they're tailgating, they're obviously in the wrong. Hopefully they don't hit you because they'd also be at fault for that collision. Can traffic directors issue fines? If you mean the traffic wardens, the civilians that are out there directing traffic, they don't issue tickets. However, they're giving lawful commands. They're special constables for the purpose of traffic direction, and the police will lay charges in the event that there's an issue. Okay. I'm nearby. Can I get an autograph? I've never actually provided an autograph, but generally speaking, the only autographs I do are tickets when I issue them. But you know what? If you're in the area and you drop by to the station and say hello, and I'm here, I will come say hello to you. They haven't got a fan protocol yet in place yet where people are turned away if they ask for me. Okay, how do you become a police officer in Toronto? Simply go to the website www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Did I say that right? torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Yes. That's where you can get all the information you need as to how to apply and become a police officer in the city of Toronto. Now, Ontario standards are pretty much the same, but it may be minute differences from service to service. So wherever you plan on applying, make sure you look at their specific requirements. Effectively, you have to be 18. You have to have at least a grade 12 education. You have to pass all the physical, psychological, and academic testing. And just because you pass that doesn't mean that you're in. It means that you're eligible to compete. And it is a competitive process. So, when I say that your minimum requirements are grade 12 education, you might be competing against people with doctorates. So it's the best applicants who are going to get through. I've got a question coming in from Q through Instagram. And I guess this is from the chat because I just had one on screen for that. So let's do the one from chat first. What could happen if someone got stopped the third time in the past 5 years driving with a G1 and the third time the G1 was expired? That's a very okay. So first of all, if you're driving G1 unaccompanied, there's a number of things that are happening. You're violating a condition of your driver's license or your learner's permit that says you have to be supervised by a qualified G, which is someone who has 4 years experience and less than a BAC of .05. So what happens? Well, you get charged for the offense of drive unaccompanied, and on conviction, that gives you a 30-day suspension on your first conviction, a 90-day suspension on your second, and on your third conviction, you're kicked out of the graduated licensing program. You lose all money and time that you've earned or contributed to that point. So why is that important? Well, because you're now starting all over again to get your driver's license. Now, if you're driving with an expired G1, that's driving without a license at all. So you're again in a violation, and you'd be charged again. So there is a potential of escalating things, not just a ticket price, but you could get an escalating penalty. And obviously, you're developing one heck of a bad driving record, which is going to affect your ability to get insurance later on when you decide to smarten up and stop breaking the law. So that's the answer for that. Another one from, let's see here, if you get into an action. All right, I'm going to put it up on screen. Of course, when I put it up on screen, it doesn't show the whole thing. Okay, this is from Abrar Motala from Instagram. If you get into an accident and don't hit any other people, like hit the curb, when the officer takes license and insurance with the insurance company, find out there was an accident. Okay, so you're involved in a collision and you didn't hit a person or a vehicle, but you hit a curb. So yeah, if there's a collision recorded, it's going to be on your record as a collision. There's going to be an attributed, if there's no charges laid, they may not find out. But if there's a collision report filed and it's against your driver's license, it is entirely possible that they will find out if they're doing searches. Anytime that you have charges or a collision history, they do have the ability to find that out within their window of search. Okay, moving on. I see Robert wants to know, what's that on my face? Yes, I have a beard again. I've worn a beard for years and years, and I had shaved it off for a period of time and went with straight goatee. But now I'm back to beard. It's winter, gotta keep my face warm. What kind of car is your police car? We have a number of different vehicles in our fleet, but before I get into answering that, I want to do two things. One, there's about 1,000 people in the room on TikTok, and I want to introduce myself. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable at the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I work for Traffic Services in the Safety Programs Unit, and obviously I get on social media and answer traffic and police questions. That's what I do. It's part of what I do anyway. But there is an issue in that we have a spam problem. We have people who are spamming the chat. We have volunteer members. We have moderators who are volunteers, not police officers, who are helping to keep it classy in our chat. So please do not repeat questions. Please do not be abrasive or we have beeping stuff. We don't want anyone to be harassed or mistreated here. You will be muted if you do any of that, or if you're spamming the chat. So please don't do it, because it makes everyone's life less fun. We want to keep it classy. We want to get everybody's questions answered. And we are only here for an hour, so we have tons of questions to answer in that short amount of time. An hour doesn't seem. And that's another thing that Q brought up to me just now. If you ask a question in the chat room, it'll be answered in the chat by the moderators. They have lots of great information. They've been doing this a long time, and they really know their stuff. If you want me to answer it, please use the Q&A function, because that's how I'm going to see the question. If you don't put it in the Q&A, I won't see it. And if you need help getting it in front of me, what'll happen is one of the moderators will forward it to me from the chat. I think I covered it. Q, we got it? We got it all? I hope we got it all.
If moderators don't know the answer, we would bring it to your attention regardless.
Yes, absolutely. Moderators know lots of stuff. That was Q in your ear, and they know lots of stuff because they hear me say it every day. So if they don't know the answer, they're definitely good about asking me for it, and we will address it if it comes up. Okay, going back to the question of what kind of car is your police car, our primary vehicle right now in our fleet is the Ford Explorer. It's taken over from the Crown Vics and thankfully replaced the Tauruses, which I never fit into. If you saw the video on our TikTok about me trying to squeeze into what was it, a Ford Explorer with the seat moved up? Didn't matter where the seat was in a Taurus. I actually got rug burn once from the top of the vehicle getting in and out of it. It was terrible. I hated the Taurus. So that's the primary vehicle. We do have some Suburbans. We do have some other vehicles, F-150s for specialty vehicles. But the primary is going to be the Explorer nowadays. I see a question that's not in the Q&A, but I just noticed it in Instagram. Can you drive without a rear view mirror as long as you have two working side mirrors? The answer is yes. In Ontario, you need to have, by law, one mirror. So it doesn't matter if it's one side or the other. Technically, it's one. Obviously, the more mirrors, the better your view is going to be. And well, let's see here. And just a reminder, I don't generally look in the chat, so I might catch your message, but it's going to be the moderators who see what you do. Okay. Entire windshield tinted, how bad of a fine? So you're not allowed to obscure the interior of your vehicle, so you're going to look at a ticket for $110 for that, and you can't obstruct the driver's view, which is $110. So you're looking at $220 every time you're stopped if you do that. Ultimately, tint is one of those things that has a safety. Or actually, additionally, you could possibly be considered unsafe because you can't safety a vehicle with tint on the front windshield. Not legal. Now, if you have just a tint strip in your vehicle is 2016 or older, you can have 3 inches across the top as a brow or tint strip, sun strip, whatever you want to call it. But that's only vehicles that are 2016 or older. Anything newer is not permitted to have it at all. Yeah, and of course, you can be ticketed every block. I've seen people remove it at the side of the road, actually peel their tint off right there to avoid issues, especially if it's commercial vehicles. Okay. Are tinted rear taillights legal? So the deal is that you need to have taillights and headlights, for that matter, that meet the requirements under law. If you tint them or spray stuff in them to make them less effective, they may not meet the minimum requirements under the Highway Traffic Act. At which point, you are going to actually get a ticket for them. Now, is it specifically legal? If you make a little bit of tint or you change it in some way and it still meets the requirements, it's not a problem. But very often they're blacked out, and simply putting a brighter bulb doesn't necessarily make it legal. Somebody sent me a TikTok of a British cop, or what appeared to be a British cop, talking about what's legal and what's not. And he made a bunch of comments making me suggest or believe that he is not an actual police officer, just someone posing as one. In any case, it was a fun video. Okay. Do I have a degree? I have a diploma. I was working on my degree and had children, so I didn't finish my degree, but I do have some university. And but I went and did a diploma program. So I've got all sorts of other work experience that got me in here. But it was definitely interesting competing against people who did have degrees when I was applying. Okay.
Can I drive with a dog in my lap?
Oh, I love this question. Can you drive with a dog in your lap? The answer is no. There's a couple of things. You could be charged with careless driving. You could be charged with drive while crowded. Is another charge under the Highway Traffic Act. But it's not permitted. Not only is it not permitted, it's not safe for you or the animal. In the event of a collision, you're going to have an airbag deploy at 200 miles per hour. You are going to likely become one with that dog, and they're not comfortable when they're being driven into your body at high speed. Very not good.
This is a good one too.
What's that?
Hey, how about stopping for a school bus on the opposite side of a separated boulevard?
So if you have a divided highway, now a highway is any road in Ontario, a divided highway that has an actual center barrier, you don't have to stop on the other side when the lights and sign are out. If it's an undivided, where it is a straight street, you do. So it depends on the construction and design of the street that you are approaching. Divided highway, you don't. Undivided, you do. Okay. Why is it illegal to be too low? This is for lowered vehicles, and it's a great question. If it's not, first of all, the legal limit for lowering a vehicle is 1.5 inches from what I've been told, but that's never been what I've been looking for, because it's 1.5 inches from its standard or manufactured intended drive height. You start looking at a vehicle, I don't need to know how much it's being lowered to know that it's not correct. There's a number of things that would have to happen to make it legal and lowered. You can't have body rub. You can't have frame rub. You can't have the tire touching anything in a lock-to-lock situation. As soon as you start lowering that vehicle, you're changing camber of your tire on the road, changing your contact patch, making it unsafe, and of course potentially having body or frame rub, which could cause blowouts. So it's a safety situation, a safety issue. And also, have you seen some of these vehicles? You still have to have a functioning suspension system. I've seen pictures of vehicles trying to go up a curb. Not only do you have to approach it at 45 degrees, and one tire comes right off the ground in some cases, it's just not safe. On racetracks, go low. If your vehicle's for the street, it has to meet the requirements as set out by the HTA and safety. How do speed cameras actually work? They determine how fast you're traveling, and if you don't stop, and they take a picture of you, and then someone verifies the contents of that photo group and issues you a ticket electronically. The tickets are issued to the vehicle owner, not the vehicle driver, because we don't verify or the city doesn't have to verify who is driving, and it doesn't go against the driver's license of that person. And that's both good and bad. It means that the vehicle owner gets dinged, and suddenly mom, dad, or whoever owns the vehicle is going to be very unhappy with the person who had the vehicle at the time and date that the ticket was issued. So that's essentially how it works. I just described red light cameras. Speed cameras actually have a radar system that measure the speed of your vehicle, take a picture, and same scenario, but it's actually a radar speed. I've done it a number of times where I read a question about speed cameras and answer about red light cameras. In any case, they're managed by the city. The consequences are similar in that it's against the vehicle owner, not the driver. Let's go. Let's continue. Are you Ben Shapiro's uncle? No, I'm not related to Ben Shapiro. I have a video as to why. You can go check it out in the fun playlist on our channel, but I am not related to Ben that I am aware of. If I am related to Ben, and it turns out, Ben, if you can help me with a low-interest loan, I'd love to buy a bigger house. Okay. If caught speeding, does the radar need to be shown? No. Police officers are not required under the HTA or under a law in Ontario to show you the radar. You can certainly ask, and we may be able to show you. It's not always safe to do so. If I had a radar unit that was handheld, I generally brought it and showed the person I was stopping, just because it makes life easy. But very often they are mounted vehicles in the car, and as such, it's not safe to have someone get out of the car at the side of the road and walk up, especially during COVID times where we don't want to be exchanging air if we don't have to. Let's see here. Can you please focus on slow drivers on the highway? This is a great conversation that we had. We started this yesterday on a video that went about 50,000 views. And what is slow? Slow, it must mean below the speed limit. And I don't know if there's a huge issue with people below the speed limit. Now, I say below the speed limit. Unnecessary slow driving has to be a significant amount below the speed limit, so much so that it's, impeding traffic. Now, if you're too slow for people who are in excess of the speed limit, tough, because you're not supposed to be speeding. Slow down. If you're talking about slow drivers, like you're trying to travel 100 in a 100 zone and the person's doing 90, that's not impeding traffic. They shouldn't be in the passing lane, and you should be able to use the passing lane to go beyond them. But it's a more complicated question because there's confusion as to what is slow driving. Okay. What are your notable differences from U.S. police? You know what? In the spirit of it, we're all police. We're all public safety officials who are here to keep the public safe. Chase criminals. Keep driving laws obeyed, or make sure that they're obeyed by enforcing the Traffic Act and issuing tickets. So the broad strokes are the same. I don't know in terms of differences. I suppose the structure of law is very different in Canada versus the States. In terms of what's federal, what jurisdiction is what, there's a lot more police services in a small geographic area in the U.S. But otherwise, I think we're all the same. Okay. What is the Canadian equivalent of the FBI? I suppose the RCMP would be the same, simply because they are federal and FBI is federal. But again, because the way U.S. law and Canadian law are written, it's very different as to what they would investigate. Okay. What is this? Manual rollbacks. Get hit, who's at fault? The driver of the manual vehicle that's rolling backwards is not in control of their vehicle. They'd be responsible if they rolled back into a stopped vehicle. There's so few manual cars now. It's interesting and exciting to get a question about them. Let's see here. What is too long to wait at a green light? So it turns green, you are hanging out, having a sip of coffee. You have to be actively driving. So if you are just hanging out at the green light and you're impeding traffic, a couple seconds, beyond a couple seconds, you're probably impeding. It's going to be up to the officer who's observing you. And it's probably going to pull you over to make sure you're okay. Because if you're not driving when the light turns green, you're probably on your phone or impaired. Okay. Can people throwing cigarettes on the highway be reported? You can. We have a online portal. It's not a 911 call, obviously. It's not an emergency. If we see it, I'll pull someone over for littering on the highway or any road for that matter. It's that calling it a highway versus an expressway is so confusing because we park on the driveway, we drive on the parkway. So what is it? Any road in Ontario is a highway. I'm assuming you meant an expressway, a high speed 400 series or such road. So yeah, and we take off on the runway. Q, thank you. Yeah, the deal is that I would pull them over and issue the ticket. If you want to make a report, you can go onto our website, www.torontopolice.owen.ca/CORE. That's the Citizen Online Reporting Entry, and you can make a specific report about a specific driver. Will it get investigated? It'll be assigned. Will a ticket be issued? Probably not, but they'll be likely sent a letter saying, hey, at this date and time, at this direction, you were observed doing X, Y, and Z, and bring it to the owner's attention. It may or may not change their behavior, but it is better than nothing.
Make sure that the CORE is all in lowercase, guys.
Yes, case sensitive. Web addresses, URLs are case sensitive. Okay.
There's a question here in chat that asks you specifically, what is the fine for loud exhaust system?
Loud exhaust is $110. It's not a loud exhaust system charge. It's an unnecessary noise charge. And that source of that noise could be your horn, your stereo, or your exhaust system. Even squealing tires could be that. It's all covered under a blanket charge, and that charge is $110. Additionally, there are charges for improper muffler or exhaust system, and depending on what you've done to your exhaust to make it loud, it could be many charges or just one or the other. So it really depends. Now, someone asked about, are valve-activated loud, quiet exhaust systems illegal? Yes, they are. There's something called a bypass valve. That is illegal. You're not allowed to have a system that permits to redirect or temporarily make it loud or quiet. There are some performance vehicles that have a track mode. I'm not even sure how those are legal because by reading the law, it would suggest that everything is illegal at that point, but they are not permitted. But there must be some level of exemption for them. I just don't know how they skirt around it. Why are the laws changed for stunt driving in private property? I assume PP is private property. Very simply, there has been a tremendous increase in stunt driving offenses being performed, or stunts being performed, whether that be high speed or donuts and burnouts and drifting in public places and in private property lots that are publicly accessible. It was such a problem that the government was put into a position where they had to create a response, a way that police could effectively respond to these issues. So what did they do? They made a law. When they wrote the law, they made it incredibly encompassing of everywhere: farmers' fields, underground parking lots, above ground parking lots, school, like everywhere. And why did they do that? I don't know. I don't know why they made it so expansive in terms of the wording. Now, it may change, but and you have to also understand that I don't think that the spirit of the law is for that. Police officers are not hiding out in your backyard under a mat waiting for you to do a burnout on your driveway. If you do it and we become aware of it, yes, they can lay charges. But we're not doing stakeouts in your bedroom looking for, you know what I mean? Like, we're not. This isn't the priority. Priority is behavior that leads to serious injury and death on our roadways. That's the focus. Stunt driving does do that, but again, we don't want people having stunting events in their farmers' fields. That could be an issue, and that could be a reason why somebody calls and complains, or there's an abundance of vehicles in an area, and they all go to this one area. And we don't know how it's going to be applied just yet. But that's the focus. Is if you go look at Project Takeover, Google that, you'll find a lot of information as to what was going on, and it was criminal.
I think people should actually look up Project Takeover instead of projecting their frustrations onto officers.
Listen, I appreciate that no one's happy about the idea of having a law that comes in and takes away your ability to do things. But when those things are dangerous, the goal is to make it safer for everyone. You look at Project Takeover, there were people doing burnouts and donuts in inches away from people. They were doing it in personal vehicles, they were doing it in rental vehicles. They were creating unsafe environments. They were also taking over roads. I mean, you can look at one that took place inside or at Dundas Square. Somebody had a Mustang and was doing donuts in the middle of Dundas Square. That extremely dangerous, right? Those are things that created this situation. For many, many years, for as long as we've been around, there hasn't been a need to create this change. That change was created based on the behavior of a select few, and it's of course now being the effects of that are being felt by everyone. When I was a kid, did I do burnouts or not burnouts, but did I learn or improve my snow driving skills, or did I believe I was doing that in parking lots? Sure, I slid around like everybody else did, and that was part of my routine when I was a kid. It wasn't illegal then; it is illegal now. So you gotta make sure that you don't do things that will land you losing your license for 14 days. Losing your vehicle for 14 days, and losing your vehicle for. I want to keep tripping over myself. Vehicle for 14 days, license for 30. I don't know what this week has been. After a vacation, I seem to transpose those two numbers. 30-day license suspension, 14-day vehicle impoundment. There you go. Just going over to look at where's my mouse? My mouse is missing. Okay, I was going to scroll over and look. My mouse is not here. I'll use my other mouse. My trackball is not responding. Joyce Connor coming in on Facebook with a good morning. Nice to have you back. Let's see here. She was making music requests. Thanks very much for the hello. We got Leafs fan for a good morning. We've got Q responding. Let's see. We got a question from Hashim on YouTube asking if Officer Kershid can do for a video. You know what? He's been busy. I haven't seen him, but we'd love to have him come back and do a video. Kayla Draconis comes in and says, "Pitter patter, let's get at her." Okay. Joyce Connor wants to know what would be excessive idling. In the city of Toronto, I think you're at 3 minutes. 3 or 4 minutes. It's really a low number. You're not allowed to idle your vehicle. You got to turn it off. There is a bylaw, but that's different than HTA. So I'd have to look that up for you. But I think the bylaw it's either 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, going into the Q&A. If someone brake tests you or brake checks you, what can they be charged for? There's a myriad of charges that may apply. Careless, could be dangerous criminal. It depends on what's going on. Somebody applying their brakes because there's legitimately something happening in front of them, and you're following too close. It could be related to you following too close if the collision occurs. But someone actively, intentionally cutting you off and hitting the brakes is very potentially criminal, and it could be dangerous driving, or even it could be a number of things. Okay, let's see here. If front of red light police need to pass, what do? I think you mean if you're waiting at a red light stopped in traffic and a police officer is behind you when you're stopped at that red light, what do? Well, you cannot go through an intersection. You're not cleared to do that. The best you can do, if you cannot move out of the way, is to edge around the traffic around you so you can make the right turn if it was safe to do so. Here's the deal. Generally speaking, if we are locked in traffic, we are not going to activate our lights and sirens and put you in a position where you have to answer that question. And if we are approaching stop traffic, we are going to pass in the oncoming lanes, which is part of using lights and sirens. It's just we're going to take the path of least resistance very slowly with tremendous caution. Okay. Why do you guys care about tint? There's real crime. Yeah, there's real crime, and tint is about real safety. Not only safety for officers being able to see in and the public being able to identify drivers in the event of collisions or criminality, but it's also for the ability for a driver to see out and not hit a pedestrian or vulnerable road user. We have to look at all angles. It's not just about looking cool, and I don't want to give you the impression that we're out there stopping every vehicle with tinted windows. Obviously, our focus is the big four. Our focus is always going to be on speeders, aggressive drivers, distracted drivers, and impaired drivers. That's the focus of our efforts. Why? Because those lead to the largest number of serious injuries and deaths on our roads. Tinted windows may be a factor. We stop you for one thing, you might get an additional ticket for your tinted window. But we're generally not on a tint blitz where we just pull everybody over for having dark windows. Obviously, if it's so dark we can't identify, can't see a driver, there's an issue. It's a reason to speak to someone. It is a valid reason to lay a charge. Are underglows on your car legal? The deal with underglow is there's no specific charge for underglow. Is it an offense? Well, it depends on how it's installed. Generally, if bulbs are not visible, you should be okay. As long as you are not sporting colors that are restricted. You can't have red, green, blue. You can't have flashing. I used to see them a lot that were they'd flash to the music. In any case, I would suggest you keep them off unless you're on private property. It's a personal preference. It'll also ensure that you do not run into problems because you may be investigated regardless of your installation if an officer believes that you are violating the law. And it's a belief. They may not be correct, but they have a valid reason to investigate if they have a belief that you are. Now, you cannot project light forward. That's a big thing. That's what I was saying about having your bulbs visible. If you're projecting light forward and it's a color other than yellow or white, that's an offense. That's an improper headlight. Even though it's attached to the bottom of your vehicle, it's projecting forward, it's against the law. You can have no more than 4 300 lumen plus bulbs facing forward, and they have to be the appropriate color. Likewise, if you have a color other than red or amber, you can't be projecting light rear. So it gets into other areas. It is complicated because it's not specifically outlined, but it could violate all sorts of other things. Okay, Q, what's your questions?
Okay, my first question comes in from Instagram, asked twice. How is it legal, or how legal is it for ways to report where police are?
Okay, it's perfectly legal. You could phone a friend. You could use social networking. Obviously, you can't use your cell phone actively or hold it. But if it's reporting information that is social based, saying that someone was seen, it's not the same as reporting. It's not the same as a speed measurement device, which is what one person on TikTok was making allegations or sharing an opinion that it was sharing radar warning device. It's not. You can share that information. It may not be accurate. We could be parked, writing a report. We could be actively doing speed measurement. We could be doing anything. Is it against the law? No. And if it slows down people overall, I'm not against it.
Okay, my next question. If I get pulled over for expired stickers, can I show the receipt if I've already ordered it online? Would that be sufficient?
So an expired sticker, okay, two things are happening. When we pull someone over for an expired sticker outside of pandemic times, because right now there's an extension until February 28th for anyone who's an expired sticker that expired after March 1st, 2020, so or March 1st and later. So if we pulled you over and you had already renewed it, we'd see in the system that had been paid. We'd know that you could confirm it with a receipt and make life easy. But when we looked up your plate, we would see that. So it's a good practice to have it, so you can provide it. Absolutely good. But as long as it's ordered and for the appropriate vehicle. Very often I would pull someone over and said they would tell me, oh, I renewed it. They'd show me a receipt, and sure enough, they renewed it for the other vehicle, and the vehicle they were driving was not renewed. So make sure you get them all. But I hope that answers your question. Doesn't answer your question?
I hope so.
Danny wants to know, what time am I allowed to drive with my G1? For some reason, G1 got cut off, but it is part of the question. And the answer is you can drive outside of the hours of 12 till 5 a.m. with a supervising driver who's qualified, a full G with 4 years experience that was acquired from G2 to G. So G and G2 time together counts, and they have to have a BAC under 0.05. So you cannot drive as a G1 between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. There you go. What is this? Car hit by blown truck retread. Who's responsible? The vehicle that lost its tire is going to be responsible for anything that happens as a result of the maintenance and safety of their vehicle. So if you're driving and a tire falls from heaven, whatever launched that vehicle's tire is going to be responsible. And ultimately, if it was because there was a collision, so okay, tire just blows up because of a lack of maintenance or defect, that vehicle is going to be responsible for it. There's a collision caused by somebody else, and as a result, the wheel comes off and hits you. So they didn't cause the collision. Their insurance is still going to cover it, and then they're going to subrogate and make it work on their side. But you who just received a flying tire is not responsible for receiving said tire. Okay.
I like this one. Can I
Okay.
ask this one?
I don't know. Okay.
Yes, I can. So I'm on a motorcycle and I'm stopped at a red light, but the light's not sensing me. What were your suggestions?
We talked about this a lot, especially in the summertime. If you don't know my background, I've been riding since I was 16. I'm a former motor squad officer, and I ran into this a lot. So there's a couple of things to do. One, know where the sensors are. Look at the road. The coil is under the cutouts in the road where you see the tar reseal marking. So try and cover that as best you can. Rare earth magnets attached to the bottom of your bike sometimes help trigger that. But worst case scenario, if you get there and it's just not changing, you've got two easy options. If it's safe to do so, you can, three easy options. If it's busy, move up far enough so that the vehicle behind you can edge up, even wave them closer so that they can get on top of the sensor and they'll trip it for you. But let's say you're alone, it's the middle of the night, and nothing's working. You could always put your kickstand down, go over and hit the walk button for the crosswalk to trigger the change of light. That will work. Now, some people say, well, you're going to leave your motorcycle running with the key in it and someone could steal it. Okay, turn it off and get off your bike, and if you're concerned about that. In any case, that's one option. Another, and the one I actually prefer, is to make the legal right turn if you can. Not every location will allow you to do that. Make the legal right turn and then make a U-turn, which is legal as long as it's not signed otherwise or in a certain set of criteria, like in front of a bridge, viaduct, or railway crossing. Then you can make the right turn, a legal U-turn, and be on your way without ever having to get off your bike. And that works. It's not illegal. It is perfectly legitimate. And if in the middle of the night it's still safer to do that than to run the light. In the absence. Now, certain states and provinces may have laws that if you're there for a certain period of time and nothing happens, you can go. That's not the case in Ontario. Okay. Let's see here. Is there a reason why police follow me around? I don't know. Are they how do you know they're following you around? I don't have an answer for that question, but I assume it's not a real question. What happens if a G2 teaches a G1? Well, if you're saying that they're supervising a G1, they're violating, and they're not a qualified driver, so the driver who is a G1 is driving unaccompanied, they're in violation of their learner's permit. They can be charged for drive unaccompanied. They can be they can receive not only the ticket, but a 30-day suspension on their first conviction, a 90-day suspension on their second, and lose their spot in the, what is it called? Lose their they get kicked out of the graduate licensing program. They have to start again. Eddie Boy, what's going on? I understand you are former TPS. Good to have you joining in. Let's see here. What's this? Is it illegal to overtake in the right lane above speed? So above speed, you're not allowed to speed. So let's take out the above speed because if you're speeding, you're breaking the law. In terms of overtaking, so if someone is in lane 1 or 2 and you are in lane 3, can you go beyond them? Yes, in a multi-lane highway you can. Now there is a rule about passing on the right. That is, the way I've read that, or the way I believe it's written, is in dealing with passing on the shoulder to the right, passing a vehicle that's waiting to make a left turn and obstructing the road. Can you pass them on the right? And it's the way it's worded is if it's unsafe to do so. So if it's not unsafe, then you are able to do it. So you have to look at the two different sections. When you say overtake, I'm assuming you mean multi-lane highway going in the same direction, and the vehicle to your left is simply going slower than you, then yes, you can continue at the speed limit to overtake them. Big things about safety. What happens if a 15-year-old gets caught driving? Well, in Ontario, you have to be licensed at the age of 16 to drive. So forget the age, they're unlicensed. And they can be charged for driving with no license. And we'll generate a driver's license number for them. It'll go on their record, and it's not fun. They're going to get a ticket. Now, if they're on private property and they were never driving on the road, they wouldn't get a ticket for that, but it's still unsafe, and they wouldn't be covered by insurance in the event of a collision.
Someone wants to know, for expired stickers, do you start ticketing on February 28th, 2022, or the day after?
Good question. I don't actually know. I'm going to assume it's the day after. That's going to be the 1st of March because the expiry or the extension ends on the 28th, and that should be the end of that night. That full day should be covered. We've never had that discussion, but I'm going to assume that it's going to be the next day that we start enforcing it. But why wait till then? Renew it now. You can do it online, and they'll send it to you in the mail. Question here is, what are the laws on using turn signals? Okay? If there's nobody, if you're alone, you're alone on the road. There's not a soul in sight. Technically, you don't have to signal. However, I would suggest that you always do, because you don't want to build a bad habit of failing to signal. If you don't signal and it affects the movement of any other vehicle or on the road, then you would be charged. I believe it's $110 for failing to signal a lane change or a direction change. Joyce from Facebook says, what's this? Joyce wants to know about what I feel or how I feel about police carrying around a debit or credit card machine, so that's in the event that someone was in the wrong and wanted to pay for the ticket right there and then. In the United States, they do have the ability to take credit card in some jurisdictions. Like my brother was driving in Virginia. I think they have credit card machines there. So they you get stopped for speeding, you can pay it right there. And I think that's actually a bail. I think you may still have a ticket to deal with afterwards, but they take your bail money right there to avoid taking you to jail. United States does some things very differently than we do. That would be one of them. And it's very different in each jurisdiction, totally different laws state to state. So we don't do that here, but it is interesting. What do you think? For the folks out in the audience, what do you think? Would you want to be able to pay your ticket roadside? Do you think that taking credit card at the side of the road is a good idea? Or do you like the current situation where you get 14 days to respond and you can take it to court and, option A, B, or C? Okay.
I think all of it should be an option, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Then
you
it
like the
also
idea?
minimizes the traffic that goes into the station or people being held if that was the case. You know what I mean?
Generally, we don't arrest people for non-criminal events. It would have to be criminal speeding or dangerous driving or impaired driving. So that wouldn't be an option. So we wouldn't take bail at the side of the road. And even then, there's other things that we pay. Cash bail doesn't really happen very often. But if you're talking about, you got done for 15 over and the ticket's $50, would you prefer having to put a stamp on an envelope to send your check in? Would you prefer going online to make a payment, or would you want to swipe your credit card right then and there? I don't know. It feels so foreign to me as a concept, because it's just not how we operate or how we have ever operated. But it is an interesting conversation.
This
Here's a
question. Oh,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
you go.
No, you go. I insist.
Okay, you drink. This
Okay.
question's been asked in chat a few times, and I'm not sure if it's phrased differently, but it says, does a person require a driving license to move freely on public roads in Canada, not for commercial?
That sounds like a question that relates to Freeman, which is a movement that suggests that you have a statutory or a common law right to move. It's not the case. If you're driving a motor vehicle for non-commercial or commercial, you need to have an appropriate driver's license. There's a group that suggests that if you're not that you have a right to travel without a license and you're not driving, you're traveling. It's baloney. You need to have a driver's license, and that's the answer. You got to have a driver's license. Can't operate a motor vehicle without one, and charges would be forthcoming if you did. Those people or people who buy into that concept also tend to not register their vehicles and not have license plates and not pay insurance. It's a whole thing. Also, things that would get you arrested. Like not having the insurance and not, potentially arrested. They also, anyway, there's a whole big can of worms to get into that conversation. But bad things tend to happen, in that, because they get into, you can go to jail for not having insurance on a vehicle. A lot of them don't want to pay insurance. Okay, let's see here. If you're towing, this is a question from Instagram. If you're towing a trailer and blocks your plate from a cop, is it legal? If you are towing a trailer, your trailer has a plate, and that does make up for the fact that you don't have your vehicle plate visible. That's acceptable. Your vehicle, your plate on your trailer has to be visible. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. We got a thank you there. You pass a car, but nobody is letting you back in. So if you pass a vehicle, this is usually when you're passing into oncoming traffic, you are responsible to ensure that you have a safe place to go. If you're passing a car and no one's letting you in, you have initiated a situation that you're in big trouble. Now, obviously, they should let you back in, but you're in a bad situation. I don't have a good answer for you. You are liable. You are responsible to make sure that you can complete that movement safely from beginning to end. Don't rely on somebody being nice to you to let you back in. So many bad things happen when people are impatient and choose to speed. Now, another thing about speeding or passing is you're not allowed to exceed the speed limit to do it. Not a popular answer, but it is the law. How long have you been working for Toronto? Winterfest over 2468 wants to know. I've been working with the Toronto Police since 2000, so 21 years. Holy moly, soon to be 22 years. We're into my 22nd year. Yeah, I joined in 2000. I joined as an auxiliary constable, and like months later became a court officer. Continued as a court officer for about 12 years, give or take, because I left for a short time. Left as a auxiliary sergeant and a court supervisor, and then traded 2 uniforms into one and became a police constable. But all in all, amongst the 3 different positions that I've held, it's been 21 years that I've been with the service. Wild and crazy times. Driving without shoes, is it illegal? No, you're allowed to drive barefoot. Not the best idea. And as I said in the first video I made about that a year ago, that when you go slam on those brakes, you might hurt your toesies. You know what? It's not as easy to hammer that brake in an emergency. You might find yourself being very uncomfortable. So is it the safest option? No. But sandals are equally, if they're easily like tongs, or is it tongs or thongs? I think we got into a whole conversation queue about tongs versus
Tongs
thongs.
are those ones that you use for like salads and stuff to pick up food, not tongs.
The ones that go
thongs.
between your toes and can slide off your foot real easily, those are not good for driving. They're not illegal, but they tend to be flip-floppy and can come off and get stuck under your foot pedal, and bad things can happen. So be careful as to what you choose as footwear. Many people, especially those who wear high heels, tend to have alternative footwear when they drive, sneakers or car shoes. That's a good solution. So none of this is legal versus not legal. It's about what's safest and what's a good idea. Okay, and that's Ontario, maybe different in other jurisdictions.
Someone in chat asks, can an ex-criminal, whoops, I lost it. Oh, get a career in law enforcement after a record suspension?
You say ex-criminal. The big thing is everybody's going to be evaluated on their own merits, and there is an opportunity for a record, a minor record, to be overlooked. Not overlooked like mistakenly overlooked, but if it was something that was youth-related, there's someone made a mistake but has had a good record since then, it is possible for minor things to be worked through. So if it is something you're interested in becoming a law enforcement officer and you had a run-in with the law when you were younger, but have made efforts and have had a good history since then, you should talk to our recruiting, because it is possible, just not guaranteed. Okay, question is, can my brother drive in an empty parking lot? He is 13. So the Highway Traffic Act charge for drive no license is not enforceable on private property, so technically you can't be charged for it, but if you were involved in a collision, they wouldn't be covered because they're not a licensed driver. The insurance would likely have an issue with the fact that they were driving. Additionally, if the behavior was stunt driving, they could be charged. If it was dangerous driving, it could be criminally charged. So there's still risk, but the charge of simply driving without a license would not be enforceable. Okay. What is this? What are the laws? We covered the laws on underglow, so I'm not going to duplicate that one. Question, is that your question, Q, or is that a question from the the audience? Oh,
I would never
okay.
ask that.
I don't know. Is my auxiliary time pensionable time? No, unfortunately not. But my auxiliary time overlapped my court's time. So my court's time is pensionable time. But the auxiliary time was simply volunteer. I had the best time of my life as an auxiliary officer. If you're ever looking for a volunteer opportunity, even though our auxiliaries are not active on the road right now because of the pandemic and the business going on in the world, they came back for a short time and then they've been halted again. But under normal times, the best thing ever is the auxiliary program. You don't have to be a police officer. You don't have to actually change your career. You can be what people tend to call reservists, weekend warriors. Well, you can come and give back to your community and serve your community in a way that is totally unique, and it's awesome. It really is awesome. A lot of fun. Meet a lot of great people. Let's see here. Oh, what do you think about stunting on private property? We talked about it. Stunting is not safe. The law is very broad right now, so obviously you should not do it. It may change, but there's no reason to stunt drive on private property. People keep using the excuse of, well, I need to learn how to winter drive by doing burnouts and drifting. No, you need to practice driving in such a way that you avoid losing control. And if you do lose control, yeah, you can recover from losing control. It's different than stunting. Sitting and doing burnouts and donuts and drifting intentionally is not safe driving, isn't learning how to handle your car. It's stunting. So I don't have an issue with it. There was a major problem, and this law was a response to that problem. What happens if you crash your police car? Well, you get investigated. A sergeant is responsible for investigating in addition to an officer who's investigating. So if you are responsible, not only are you going to be charged, but you're going to likely be documented, which means you're going to have something in your personnel file, and you could even lose hours if it was determined that you were at fault. So beyond the charge, you could have docked pay. So it's not a good thing. Nobody wants to crash. Now, things happen, and it is possible that you didn't cause it or were at fault, and it's going to be that whole explaining what happened. Now, fortunately, we have dash cameras in every single one of our police cars. We have onboard cameras, and they capture what's going on. They also record our speed of travel, whether our lights and sirens were active, all sorts of things. So it's all going to come into play and be evaluated. And boy, oh boy, are we evaluated. Okay. How was my experience in the academy? Any advice? Great time. It was weird. I had just gotten married, so I left my bride at home like a month later, and she never forgave me for it. No, yeah, she's over it. But the fact is that it was a great time. Hard to be away from family, focused on studies, and if you are in the process or you've been hired, you're about to go to the OPC or the police college in general, focus on your studies. Work really hard. It's a short period of time. Avoid any of the not any of the social, but restrict your social, keep fit, stay healthy, and focus on studying. That's the best advice I can give you. Do speed cameras catch cops? Police officers are exempt from the speed limit. They're allowed to exceed the speed limit legally under the HTA, so those don't affect us. They would catch us, but they'd be marked off because we're permitted to exceed the speed limit. Ride-alongs, are they legal? Ride-alongs, they are possible outside of COVID. Right now, they're not possible. But there was an opportunity, like if you were a student who wanted to learn about policing, if you were a journalist, if you were, you'd have the opportunity as a civilian to come in and ride with a sergeant. Obviously, we couldn't put you in harm's way, but there was an opportunity, and I imagine there'll be an opportunity again. Can I drive with a license from outside of Canada? You can while you're visiting. So if you're here on holiday, you want to rent a car, you can drive with your international license. It'll be accepted. If you move here, you are obligated after 30 days or within 30 days to change your license for an Ontario license. So as soon as you're a resident, you have 30 days and you must get one. Depending on where you're from, you may be able to trade it one for one. You may have to do some testing. Depends on what your license qualifies for. So talk to the Ministry of Transportation. There's tons of information online to get you info for that. What is this? I got Armed It has a question, but it's incomplete. So I got to find the rest of your question before I answer it. Are these Q&As community policing? Absolutely they are. We normally would hold events or go to events, barbecues, car shows, boat shows, anywhere we could get an opportunity to talk to the public and answer your questions. So we'd have people stop by our booth wherever we were, grab a burger or something, we'd have a chat, and we'd talk to a few people at a time. Just looking here, we've had over 20,000 people inside of this chat since we've been here. We've had 232 new followers, 1,420 comments, 16,800 likes. We're currently speaking to more people on TikTok and social media. That was only TikTok. That's not including the folks that are watching on YouTube and the other channels. That's not including our replays later because these are all on YouTube to be watched at any time. That doesn't include Instagram. So we're reaching more people. It is a phenomenal source of information for people who are looking for their to get their questions answered. We're having a great time. It's fantastic, especially for me. It's very rewarding. You may not know this about me, but I was a motor squad officer. I was involved in a motor vehicle collision as a motor squad officer, and I haven't been able to go back on the road because I'm still dealing with my injuries. So why is this good? For me, it's been fantastic because I can finally give back and and interact the way I used to in the public, or more so. I'm not just pushing paper; I'm actually helping people. So I really appreciate it for my benefit. I love this because it's given me a great, tremendous source of satisfaction. But it's been getting great reviews. We've had the media write up about us, and it's going real well. So yeah, totally community policing.
Do you mean you're giving up getting commission
Commission? What commission?
from
Oh yeah, yeah.
tickets?
There's no yes, and there's no commission, nor are there quotas. But I love I love the suggestion that there is, because it's great conversation. There's a lot of people who believe that we do it because we have to. We have to write tickets. We have to come back with 50 or we're going to get in trouble. No, we write them because they're real tickets that are real violations, and the people who are doing these things, they're violating, are going to hurt somebody one day. Whether we're writing it because they already did hurt somebody, or we're writing it because we're trying to change behavior so they don't one day ruin their lives or the lives of another by being involved with, in a collision. Or there's so much tragedy as a result of life change. I'm actually an example of that, because prior to my collision, I was an active person who was out doing all sorts of things, and that collision where I was struck on my motorcycle changed my life forever. I say forever because it's been way too long to be a passing injury. I'm hoping that I can still get back on the road at some point, but it's everyday working. Today I'm going to physio. It's nonstop. But that's another story. The goal of writing tickets is not to punish you and make you feel bad. It's to give you the not so nice feeling of getting a ticket so that you change your behavior and maybe save a life. That's really it. This is a good question. Can I drive with no front bumper? No. Front bumper is required equipment in the event of you striking a pedestrian in another vehicle. It's to keep you safe, to keep pedestrians safe. Not that it's a great thing to be hit by a car, but it's better with a bumper than no. So yeah, you must have a front bumper, and it's unsafe without it. Okay. Someone wants to know what the most interesting call I've ever gone to. There's been tons. I'll tell you, policing is one of the most fantastic working opportunities, because the potential of getting a different job every day. You can have different careers within the policing. So you could start off as as a divisional officer, like I did. I worked in 12 division. I went to peer review calls, domestic disputes, violent calls, robbery calls, murders. You go into all sorts of things, and then you specialize in something, and you go like I went the route of traffic, and I focused on this, and I've had so many interesting opportunities and education opportunities, and met so many great people. But let's say if I was able to, I wanted to become a dog handler and a working canine. I could try out for that. I could, you could keep switching your career whenever you got bored, so it never gets bored, or it never gets boring. But at the same time, every day is a new day. You don't know what you're going to get, what the radio is going to give you, and it's you can help someone, you can save a life, you can be really bored one day, and it's all part of your career, and it goes by real quick. What's up, Q?
Everybody wants to wish you a happy new year.
Well, thank you very
And
much, and happy New Year to everybody else. But we're going to be back tomorrow. That'll officially be our New Year's episode, I think. Does that make
Are
it
you
big?
going to get festive?
Well,
Are
what's
we going to
festive
come
for
in
New
with a
Year's?
kazoo?
A kazoo? I didn't know that kazoo was festive.
What? What do you mean?
I'm apparently I'm missing a major thing in my life where I never knew a kazoo was a festive instrument of some kind.
I will send you the emoji. It's a kazoo that they're holding.
Oh, okay. I just saw a message from C Page that says you can also look up. You can look up for your local consultative committees, such as French on tps.on.ca, including your local CPLC if you want to connect with your neighborhood police officers. Yes. So there are so many different ways to be involved with the police. Look at our moderators. Our moderators were helping us on TikTok and our other platforms, keeping it classy, being involved with us when we go live every day. They're volunteering. This is a way of being involved in your community and supporting them. So thank you to all the moderators who have really been amazing and made this experience so much better. We could do a whole episode just talking about what the moderators have done. But C Page is absolutely correct. There are civilian, non-uniform ways of volunteering with your police service to be involved in your community. They're all wonderful, and they're meaningful. They really make a difference in your community. So if you're interested in volunteering and giving back, these are great ways to do it.
On the
Akela,
tense that if you're interesting.
what's
Hey,
that?
there's my mom
What? Where?
on YouTube.
Oh, Happy New Year, Mom. I see G showed up on from YouTube. Kayla Draconis also jumped in. Kazoos are like the horn noise makers. Okay, good to know. Estella says good morning. You are doing an amazing job. Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Coming in from Facebook there. Big Jeff Fresh. I missed. Actually, I read this earlier, but I didn't mention it. Big Jeff Fresh would be down with paying roadside for tickets. Not that he would ever get a ticket. Awesome. We got a question coming in from, let's see here. Oh, what is this? We got a. Okay. Amin says if CAD got flat tire in the middle of a highway, is it okay to drive it slow to go to a safe zone to fix tire? Um, Okay, so we got a couple questions banging into one. So let me start with that one. If you get a blowout, get off the highway. I don't mean keep driving on the highway slowly. I mean pull off to the shoulder and get assistance. Pull off as far as you can to be safe. If you have a motor league or something that someone's going to do it for you in a highway situation, depending on how busy it is, that's better than doing it yourself because we see people who get injured changing tires if they're not in a good place. But driving on a damaged tire, you may end up damaging your rim. You may end up being in a more serious situation. So it all depends on where you are. If you're out of the city, if you're out of the way of help, you may be in a position where you're changing your own tire. Hopefully, you have a tire and you've maintained it, that you have an option. So hopefully that covers that. And even if you're going to replace your own tire, it's not a bad idea to call police and let them know where you are, because very often what we'll do is we'll simply send a car to help block the lane and keep you safe, so you can get roadside assistance, whether it be yourself or somebody else. Okay. Or arrange a tow to a somewhere safer where you can do it. A multitude of options. Let's see here. So it says. So Amin also wants to know if, due to some reason, a licensed address has not been changed for a few years, staying out of province, does it count as wrong if you apply for a police service? So you want to. So here's the deal. You need to be on top of your game. You need to make sure that you're in compliance with the rules, because whether it be driving safely or maintaining your address, obviously there's going to be a question as to why you lived in a certain place but your license was not matching as required, because you have to change your address within 6 days of moving, according to law, and it can be done online. So there's really no excuse. But here's the deal. Make sure you fix everything now. Make sure if you're going to be applying that you are up to date and you are you're in your best. Bring your best self forward when you go to apply, and do what you can. At least you know there was a mistake, and you can say, "Hey, I made a mistake," but own up to it. Don't try and hide it.
There's a question in chat
Yes.
that asks about if a drive shaft breaks in the middle of driving. Is that considered a breakdown, or is it considered offense or a chargeable, ticketable offense?
Well, those things don't generally break on their own by failure. So, is it an offense to have your car break down? No. If it's deemed that you did not maintain your vehicle properly and you were the cause of it due to your lack or negligence, then you could be responsible for it. But ultimately, something failing on your vehicle isn't driver error more often than not. Commercial vehicles, it may be a company situation. It might be something during an inspection pre-trip that you should have seen. So it all depends. I can't give you a blanket yes or no. But generally speaking, if something breaks and you break down, we don't write you tickets for breaking down. We do help you get off the road. And you might end up in a commercial vehicle inspection if you're a commercial vehicle. That's possible. Certainly, if it causes a collision, you're going to be responsible for it there. What to do about loud vehicles and mufflers? Well, do you mean other people's? Are you saying that other people are being loud? The deal is we are actively looking and pursuing those who choose to create too much noise or modify their vehicles to make them illegal. It's not the focus of our efforts. We are focused on things that lead to serious injury and death on our roadways, but we do deal with whatever we come across. So if we find someone who is obnoxiously loud, that's a loud noise offense, which is likely going to also lead to a muffler offense, because they are not the same. They are two separate charges, and the person will likely leave with both of them. So it's all about educating, which we're doing right here, right now, and constantly enforcing it when we find it.
There's a question in chat that's been asked by two different people, and they're
Okay.
asking about the Flick Me light, which is like the handprint that is at the back of a car and it flips off people.
So is it
Is it
legal?
illegal?
Well, as long as it's not flashing in red, it's not illegal, no. Flashing red lights are illegal. They're prohibited under the HTA. You can be charged for intermittent flashes of red light. That could be a problem. Simply telling someone to, how you feel about them isn't specifically against the law. So take that as you will.
Sorry. To clarify, it also waves.
It waves. The waving could be flashing. It could be. I mean, here's the deal: is it a good idea to give someone the finger? Is it a good thing to escalate and create tension? People are stressed out enough when they drive. And what are you going to do? You're going to pass someone and give them the finger by way of an electronic thing. Is it a good thing to do? Are you being a good neighbor? Is it courteous? Maybe not. Maybe not a good idea. So I wouldn't endorse its use. I might find it amusing, but ultimately, what would happen if you do that and then the person decides to go, and retaliate? Now you've created a situation. You've created a situation. They may have started it by doing something that upset you, but it's better to take a deep breath and move on. We're moving into a new year. Let's do it with dignity, with calm, and let's hope that nobody escalates anything on the road, because it could turn into tragedy really quickly. So simple as giving someone the finger might end up with, even if it's not there, you just stress someone out so much after that they go and drive over a puppy. We don't want that. You'd be responsible for it even if you didn't know about it because you just pushed that button. So I would suggest against it. Anyway, with that, I think we're well over time. It has been a slice. It's been a blast. I really appreciate everyone hanging out with us. If you don't already follow us, please do. And we'll be back tomorrow for the last episode of the year. Oh, yeah. New Year's Eve. New Year's Day.
Yay.
New Year's Eve Day. New Year's Day Eve. It's something. What's it called? It's the last day of
New Year's
2021. New Year's. No, it's not Eve. It was 9 o'clock in the morning is day.
What? It's
Tomorrow
still the
is New
same
Year's
day.
Eve. It's
New Year's
Day.
Eve? New Year's
Eve Day.
Eve Day? Okay. All right, then.
I got you.
The morning of New Year's Eve.
There you go. All right. We will be back tomorrow at 9, so tune in. Come back and say hello. If you've got questions, ask them. We posted a video this morning. I'd love to know your opinion on it. It's all about speeding, and it's called Wipe 5 Off. It was a video, or at least the clip that I show, is a video that was originally produced, or is produced, by the Transportation, what is it called? The Transport, I forgot what it's called. It's TAC. It's an Australian organization. They're amazing. Why can't I do it? Why can't I remember what it's called? Oh, my goodness. Anyway, go check out the video. Let me know what you think about it, because it talks about wiping 5 off and how reducing 5 kilometers of speed can make a tremendous difference at the end of a collision, in the impact point. So please do that. Now, also, please follow us on YouTube. You can get us at Traffic Services Toronto Police. We're almost at 1,000 followers. That's very exciting. If you want to follow me, if you want to keep in touch with me, you can get me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok on my own channels. VoiceOver Cop is my handle. You can get me there, and we will catch you later. Q, anything else we want to say?
Oh, yeah. This is an important question brought to you from chat. Who do we ask to get you a raise?
I don't know. You can feel free to write letters to the chief. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Actually, we're working on something that would be very helpful if you want to help me out, and that is we're going to be doing a survey. We're going to have an electronic survey available, and if you are watching, it's basically trying to evaluate what we're doing here, the value of what we're doing here. Are you getting good information? Is it changing some of your opinions? Do you think you're a better driver because of the interaction? So we have a survey that we're going to be putting up in the next little while. So stay in touch, or be on the lookout for that. And feel free to write the chief. Tell him that I'm awesome. I have no problem with that. But thank you very much to everyone who's participating and hanging out with us. Like I said, it's a blast. And we'll see you tomorrow for the last episode of 2021. And with that, I say, see you later.
Bye, TikTok.
Well, first we're going to say bye to Instagram, because that's the first button from left to right. And now we are going to...
You just ended it. I didn't even get to say bye.
You said bye.
To TikTok?
I haven't ended TikTok. TikTok's live.
Right. I only got to say bye to TikTok. I didn't get to say bye to Instagram.
This is so confusing.
All right, I'm just going to say bye, everybody.
Okay. There you cover it by everybody. All right, TikTok, we're out. Do we have to count down 5, 4, 3, 2? No?
We're good. Nope.
Okay, we've ended that one. So now we're still live on with you guys. How's it going? And mom, is mom still here? Yes, she said hi again. I see that. Okay, viewing insights. Let's see. So it's fascinating to me the differences in the platforms, and we're much smaller, obviously, on Instagram. But we want to be inclusive. We want to hang out with everybody and give everyone the opportunity to have access. So, yeah, we're doing that, and it'll grow. It'll grow. If you're not watching Traffic Services Toronto Police, or is it Traffic Services Toronto? That's the handle on Instagram. You can check us out. Is good stuff. All right. 18. Oh yeah. So, what does it say? So according to TikTok, you got more views than 96% of hosts with a similar following. I don't know what that means, but we did get a bunch of new followers. That's awesome. I can say that today. So we had no technical issues today. I'm very happy about that.
Don't jinx it.
There it is. 2022, we will not be able to get the connection. Okay, lots of comments, got new followers. Yeah, this is all good. We'll say that this is good. Okay, submitting feedback. We liked it. And why I did that is because I always forget to put the feedback in there. I wanted to see what the total number of... No, that's not what I want. Where is it? Stats. Where are the stats? Replay top viewers. Really? Okay. There's another stats window that I can't seem to access. I love when they change things. Is this it? No. Oh, 25.5 thousand. Oh, okay. They changed the window. No, that's still not. Okay. Anyway, I'll mess with it after. Folks on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, it has been it has been a
Facebook.
Facebook. Oh, I don't want to forget Facebook. And I've got a new face from that I'm seeing from Twitch, Mr. Devil. Is it MF Devil?
It's Angela Topping.
That's Angela.
Yes, it says it's
Oh.
Angela.
Hey, it's Angela. I see that now. I've never seen this user active. So cool. Thank you for jumping in from Twitch. I got to do more Twitch. Maybe on a long weekend, I'm going to play some games.
Okay. Kayla says, "Can't wait for COVID to end. I'd like to meet you someday."
You know what? I would love to be able to do stuff where we all get together. I think that'd be really cool. It's things that we would love to do if we could do it, and hopefully we will one day be able to do that because, a group coffee, we could TikTok live.
Not barbecue?
Oh, barbecues are good. I like barbecues. Okay.
Yeah. We'll put a petition in.
Petition. There you go. All right. Apparently, my voice needs a break. It's been a slice. Thank you, everyone, for participating. See you, Mom. We're going to sign off because there's more things to do.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Bye,
Take
Mom.
care. We will see you tomorrow. All the best.